So next season, the Vex mythoclast is getting a major buff. 10% extra damage to red bars, 25% more damage to bosses, and 200% more linear damage to champions. So there's only one thing to do, a Warlock build built around the newly buffed Vex mythoclast. So let's get started. As a reminder, the dim link to this build and all of my other builds can be found in the Discord linked below. We're going to be using the mythoclast to give ourselves unlimited Radiant thanks to the exotic Rain of Fire, which will grant us Radiant whenever we get a kill with a fusion or linear fusion, and reload all our weapons if we Icarus dash. While we have this damage buff, we'll also have 2x restoration, which is getting nerfed next season, but it's still a very powerful buff to have. So let's get started with the subclass. First, you're going to want Phoenix Dive. This will give us the ability to gain restoration ×2. Melee, you can pick up either one. I prefer Incinerator Snap. I feel it's more consistent with applying Scorch. And for the grenade, you can pick up whatever you like. Personally, I love a solar grenade. Now for the aspects, you're going to want Heat Rises, which allows you to eat the grenade and fly in the air. This will also let us gain restoration ×2 when you Phoenix Dive while Heat Rises is active. And then either Icarus Dash, so you can reload all of your weapons thanks to the effects of Rain of Fire, or if you're using loader mods or faster reloading weapons, you can just use Touch of Flame to gain bonuses to your grenades. This is your choice. Now let's take a look at the fragments you're going to want. First, we have Ember of Empyrean. This will let us extend our restoration buff, and usually our Radiant buff, but Rain of Fire exotic will do that for us. Second, we have Ember of Searing, which grants us melee energy when defeating scorched targets. This is going to be extra important when we look at the artifact mods. Next, we have Ember of Ashes, which allows us to apply 50% more scorch stacks. And finally, we have Ember of Eruption, which increases the range of our solar ignitions, giving us a little more AoE. Again, very important when we look at the artifact mods. Now that we've done the subclass, we can look at the mods. Now this build is a very simple build to use, so we won't be getting too complex with the mods. On the helmet, you'll want Hands On to give us more super energy on melee kills, and Harmonic Siphon and any other siphon depending on the weapons you choose. On our arms, you'll want Harmonic Reloader and Heavy Handed so we can generate orbs on melee kills and give us armor charge. On the chest, you'll want Charged Up just to give us more armor charge. On our Rain of Fire boots, you'll want to pick up double Solar Surge, triple if you can afford it without suffering too many stat losses. These surges will stack on top of the Radiant buff, so you'll be stacking damage buffs like crazy. On top of this, the mythoclast buff will let you do some insane damage. And then finally, on the class item, you'll want Time Dilation just to extend the timer of those surges, for some reason, if you aren't able to keep it up. Now, in Season 23, we are getting some very stasis and some very solar-heavy artifact perks. Some of the ones you'll want to look out for are Kindling Trigger, which will apply Scorch to unscorched targets when you deal damage with solar weaponry while Radiant. Perfect to be combined with Ember of Searing that I mentioned earlier. Next, we have Flint Striker, which will apply Radiant when you are getting rapid precision damage with a solar weapon. Perfect if you're in a higher level activity and you aren't able to secure a kill to get your buffs. Next, we have Torch, which will give you bonus damage to your Radiant solar weapons to targets who are affected by stasis or strand. This will go great in endgame activities when you're with a fire team who are using freeze or suspend builds. Revitalizing Blast, which will apply a debuff to champions when dealing damage with a solar ability. And finally, Ray of Precision, which is perfect for this build. It will ignite enemies you defeat with precision final blows while Radiant. Since you're using the mythoclast, you'll be able to do this pretty easily. Finally, onto the weapons. The only weapons you're locked into is the mythoclast. This will count as a fusion rifle, so you'll be able to consistently refresh your Radiant buff on every kill. Primary and heavy weapons are totally up to you. It's worth noting that Radiant does work with all weapons, not just solar ones. And Radiant will also give you anti-barrier. And that's all there is to it. This is the easiest build ever to use. All you need is the Vex mythoclast and the Rain of Fire exotic. Any player, new or experienced, will be able to get the hang of this build easy, and it will be incredibly powerful in Season 23. That's all for this video. If you enjoyed, make sure you drop a like or even a cheeky sub. If you want to connect with me, my Twitch, Twitter, and Discord are all in the description below. And until next time, I'll see you on stream.